Former President Trump's White House counsel is testifying before the January 6th committee today. Here's new video of Pat Cipollone walking in for his interview with the panel this morning. Officials say that he could provide more details about Trump's inner circle and what they were doing before, during, and after the Capitol riot. Scott MacFarlane is following the latest on Capitol Hill. Scott, good morning.
Hey, Anne-Marie, it's a behind closed door meeting. We can't watch it live, but we're told it is being video recorded, which raises the prospect there'll be some excerpts of the audio and video that will be shown at future committee hearings. And there is another committee hearing in just 4 days.
The January 6th Select Committee believes former White House counsel Pat Cipollone has exclusive insights into what then President Trump did or didn't do as his supporters attacked the Capitol.
How important an interview is this for the committee?
I think it's important for the committee. I mean, Mr. Cipollone was in the room. We have testimony from others about what he said and did.
Cipollone appeared informally before the committee in April, but for weeks there's been pressure for him to testify on the record. Vice Chair Liz Cheney used social media to do so and called him out by name.
Our committee is certain that Donald Trump does not want Mr. Cipollone to testify here.
The committee then took it to the next level and issued a subpoena just 24 hours after former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson's blockbuster testimony in which she said Cipollone warned of criminal exposure if Trump went to the Capitol January 6th.
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, "Please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable."
The committee will likely press Cipollone on whether he gave the same advice directly to Trump and whether the then president pushed to go to the Capitol anyway. The panel may have to navigate certain privilege claims, but says there are many questions Cipollone should be able to answer.
There can be an assertion of attorney-client privilege, but remember, he represents the presidency, not Donald Trump, the man.
4 days till the next public hearing. We're told it'll focus on the mobilization of the mob January 6th, including by far-right groups and domestic violent extremists. Anne-Marie and Nancy.
So, Scott, you sort of went through why the committee would want to speak to him. I'm curious as to the type of testimony we're expected to hear. You know, we've seen aides and supporters of the president plead the fifth. You mentioned in your package there might be a possibility of either attorney-client confidentiality or executive privilege or all sorts of things he could say. Will he be sort of a willing and open participant, say, in the way that Ms. Hutchinson was?
So this is a different scenario. You know, previous witnesses had to navigate this issue of executive privilege. You know, which president, the current president or former president, can invoke executive privilege. This is attorney-client privilege, which is a different issue and a kind of a different thing for the committee to navigate. But the legal experts with whom we've spoken and the committee members with whom we've spoken say Cipollone can testify to what he witnessed, what he saw, outside of conversations he had with people at the White House. It's also necessary to underscore he was White House counsel, not the president's personal counsel. A different type of privilege might apply. The committee is optimistic. They are bullish. They're going to get information they need out of this interview.
And Scott, you had mentioned that we could eventually see clips of his interview. Can you talk about the decision, perhaps, to not air this live, but to record it and then eventually release parts of his interview and possibly when we could see those?
Yeah, it gives the committee a lot more latitude if they can curate some of this interview, take excerpts of it, and then put it into a broader narrative as part of their hearings, be it Tuesday, another hearing next week, or future hearings later this summer. Allowing live testimony gives them a little less control, but also it raises some risks that they may either lose the attention of America from a long, winding answer, or that things may be unfocused. This gives them an opportunity to focus and tell a story. And if past is prologue, this committee has used little chunks of excerpts of interviews to push through their storytelling. They have been particularly effective at telling efficient stories. These hearings have huge bandwidth, but they end up channeling them into 2-hour segments for America to consume. That's likely their goal next week as well.
So this whole series of hearings, reminds me of those connect the dot pictures that we used to do when we were little kids, and you had to sort of keep connecting until you got the final picture. So we have another hearing coming up on Tuesday. Which dots will they be trying to connect?
In the MacFarlane household, the connect the dot games continue to this day, just so we're aware with my children. They're going to move this from the White House to the far right groups that were here at the Capitol January 6th. It's going to be interesting, Anne-Marie, how they connect the groups accused of conspiracy here January 6th and any of the other players or characters we've heard about at the prior hearings. That's what we're watching for Tuesday. What connective tissue exists between those accused of conspiracy and those in power?
I thought the note you made about storytelling and the narrative really rings true on that point. And I want to turn now also to former White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham. What do we know about her speaking with the committee?
Well, we know the committee at this moment, Nancy, has spoken with more than 1,000 witnesses, including members of the Trump inner circle. We don't have readouts on what a lot of those witnesses have said because the committee hasn't seen fit to give us readouts of what those witnesses have said, in part because this is still an open investigation. But that's really the challenge for the committee. They are doing more intake as they're trying to release their findings, and they have a hard and fast deadline. They got to finish their work by the end of the calendar year. This Congress ceases to exist January 2nd, 2023. A new Congress comes in the next day. This committee vanishes. So they've got a hard deadline, and likely they want to get this done before the midterm elections when things kind of fall apart in Congress.
Absolutely. A lot riding on this. Scott, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you very much.